My dear students of class 10, already you know I have completed teaching of lesson number 3, the moderates. I shall give you some short questions through still photo. You just open it and solve short questions in your homework copies. Because mentioning short questions through Teno, it takes time. That's why it is better you open the file, open the still photo and then take it down the questions and write answer in your homework copies and submit it later. Now the rise of assertive nationalism. What were the causes for the rise of assertive nationalism? Now I am going to teach you the causes for the rise of assertive nationalism. Certain points here, as per the point I am going to teach you. Causes for the rise of assertive nationalism. Assertive nationalism was started at the time when the moderates failed to achieve success, especially when, the partition of Bengal started. The British did not want to allow any Indians, especially the poor peasants, especially Indian manufacturers, Indian industrialists, to give some benefits, economic concessions, but the British industrialists, British people, British traders. That's why the Indian leaders who were against that system, who wanted to have immediate result, that group of people started a new wave of movement within the Congress. That group of people were known as assertive leaders. They introduced a new concept, the concept of assertive nationalism in Congress. But after, the next point, economic impoverishment. The British ignored all the demands of the moderates, but at the time when the Indian people, poor farmers, Indian manufacturers had been facing a lot of problems, but the British industrialists they were purchasing all Indian resources, all Indian goods, all Indian resources for their own country. And at the time they are following the policy of stagnation and policy of drain of wealth. The wealth of our country India was drained to their own country England. Right that moment, the economic disasters also were taken place in the year 1896 and 1900. Within these 4 years, about 90 lakh lives were lost due to severe famines. But the British had not taken any initiative to provide economic help and assistance to the Indian people. Now, next point, negligence of British and their repressive measures. Negligence of British and their repressive measures. The British government remain busy in celebrating 25 years silver jubilee of Queen Victoria's reign. So they spend a lot of money. During that time they spent 1 lakh rupee in celebrating Queen Victoria's proclamation. But in the same year, a severe famine also has taken place throughout the country. But the British did not spend a single amount of money for the famine-affected area, famine-affected people. So this angered a group of people who started agitation against the British government. They were the assertives. Besides, Lord Curzon came as Viceroy of India. On reaching India, he realized that the anti-revolutionary activities of the Indians should be immediately stopped. The role of the assertive leaders should be immediately curbed. The influence of the assertive leaders should be immediately curbed. That's why he passed certain colonial, certain, precautionary measures against the Indians. That's why he passed some acts. Number one, the act in the year 1898. Under that act, it was declared that provoking the people of India against the British government would become a punishable offense, a punishable crime. Meanwhile, when the British failed to provide economic support, economic assistance to the famine-affected people of India, that time Bal Gangadhar Tilak, the famous assertive leader, criticized the British government in his famous, newspaper Kesari for criticizing against the British. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was arrested for 6 years. And then next Calcutta Corporation Act, which was passed by Lord Curzon in the year 1899. Under the terms and provisions of that act, a very less number of Indians were allowed to be the member in the Calcutta Corporation, but the Europeans, but the Britishers. A number of British members were there in the corporation than the number of Indian members. This kind of racial discrimination angered Indian youth generation. That's why they started agitating against the British government from different universities by making slogans, by making anti-revolutionary, by making anti-British slogans against their repressive measures, against their acts they had been passing from time to time. That's why, being the Viceroy of India, Lord Curzon passed the University Act in the year 1904. That time, the three most important universities of India, the Calcutta University, the Bombay University and the Madras universities had become a great center of revolutionary activities, a great center of nationalistic aspiration of the Indians, and a great center of revolutionary ideas of the Indian people, especially Indian students. So the students of these three respective universities started agitating, picketing, campaigning against the British government, and that's why Lord Curzon decided to arrest them immediately in protest against that repressive act of University Act of 1904. The youth India, the Indian students of these three universities, they started agitation against the British government in order to gain back their freedom. And next one, impact of world events. Throughout the world, a number of important events were being taken place. In Russia, Japan, there was a revolution by the common people. Before that, from our Asian country, Japan defeated Russia. So it was the first time the European country was defeated by the Asians. It also gave encouragement to the Indian revolutionaries. They all were imprisoned and inspired by the revolutionary ideals of the Japanese people, Japanese government, Japanese people. That's why they all were encouraged. And later on, Tsar Nicholas II's rule came to an end because of his autocratic policy and repressive measure. The common people of Russia, they protested against the Tsarist rule. So the Tsarist rule came to an end in Russia. It also gave a birth of Indian nationalism among the assertive people, assertive leaders, and fall of Ottoman Empire also made them more and more aggressive against the British government. So these were the important incidents of the whole world, encouraged Indians to be active, more and more active against the British rule. Now, racial discrimination in South Africa, a number of Indians who were staying there, they were under the oppressive rule of the white government of South Africa. Gandhi started agitation in support of the Indian people. Gopal Krishna Gokhale also reached there to assist Mahatma Gandhi, but he realized that the presence of Mahatma Gandhi in India would be more and more effective than his presence in South Africa. That's why he advised Mahatma Gandhi to return back to India. So ultimately, Mahatma Gandhi returned back to India, and he started Indian national movement against the British government. Now, influence of the educationists and religious leaders. A number of educationists also encouraged Indian revolutionaries, assertive leaders, two religious, leaders like Dayanand Saraswati and Swami Vivekananda's revolutionary activities and revolutionary thinkings encouraged the Indian people. They all were inspired by Dayananda Saraswati's modern thinking and spiritual explanation, and Mahatma and Swami Vivekananda's Chicago conference, which was held at Chicago in America, encouraged millions of people of the whole world. So the people of India also were inspired by the famous speech of Swami Vivekananda. And apart from this, his Karma Yoga, which was written by Swami Vivekananda, encouraged the assertive leaders to be a part of the revolutionary movement, agitation against the British government, and to give a new wave in the movement against the British, so that the British must stop must stop passing repressive acts against the British government. Next day, I shall start teaching my next point, the partition of Bengal. Thank you.